I'm going to be a master of disguise. I'm going to be a master of disguise. I'm going to be a master.
Fun fact, if you went to a movie theater in August of 2002 and asked for a ticket to this movie by singing, "I'm going to see the Master of Disguise," then the person at the ticket booth was allowed to come from behind the desk and punch you directly in the throat, no matter whether you were a child or not. In fact, being punched in the throat is an experience that is just about as fun as me finally having to revisit this infamously bad Dana Carvey film comedy, which was once ranked in a cracked article by now returning MST3K host Michael J. Nelson as the third worst comedy movie of all time, just right ahead of It's Pat the Movie, where Carvey had tried following in the footsteps of his SNL castmate Mike Myers as Austin Powers in playing another secret agent with a silly accent and who can break out into a wide variety of characters, only for the results to end up being just as disastrous as when Garth tried to host Wayne's World all by himself. Even as a young fan of classic SNL at the time who was excited to see Dana Carvey getting another chance at movie stardom, it was not hard to see why the former church lady had a snowball's chance in hell of maintaining his movie career past the end of the 90s, even if he did have the help of his executive producer pal Adam Sandler in what would be just the beginning of his burgeoning empire of comedic slop.
This is my fucking way. This is how I win.
I'm Jesse Shade, and on behalf of the JoBlo YouTube network, let us don a turtle suit and hold ourselves a moment of silence for this disguise-donning episode of Awfully Good Movies. Even as Adam Sandler nears his 60s, the former SNL funny man isn't showing any signs of winding down his lucrative deal with Netflix, where he's allowed to still make dumb comedies such as the hugely successful Happy Gilmore 2, at the same time as flexing his dramatic chops in such prestige fare as J. Ellie, all while still doing stand-up comedy and being praised by such younger movie stars as Ariana Grande and Timothée Chalamet as a generational icon, all of which would have been unthinkable even 10 years ago, when he and his production company, Happy Madison, were mocked by cinema fans for producing increasingly lazy comedies for Sandler and his co-starring buddies that also served as glorified vacations, as well as star vehicles for some of those buddies he had met through either the stand-up circuit or his time on SNL. Yet aside from the truly abysmal Jack and Jill, none of these movies would get much worse than the 2002 family comedy Sandler would produce for Dana Carvey, in what would be his last starring role as the title role of the Master of Disguise. Even though Carvey was such a comedic powerhouse in his 7 years on SNL that one of his skits with castmate Mike Myers got turned into 2 hit movies, none of that success would translate to Dana's own fledgling film career, in addition to a quickly canceled sketch comedy show on ABC and a botched bypass surgery on his heart that had him considering retirement. That is, until Adam Sandler would offer his SNL pal not just a cameo as a referee in Lil Nicky, but also another starring role for Carvey in a script he wrote specifically to appeal to his 2 young sons, playing a bashful Italian waiter who discovers he's part of a family of spies that can disguise their voices and appearances into whoever they please. A perfect opportunity for Carvey to show off all the characters and impersonations that Lorne Michaels had rightfully said no to. Yet even though its aggressive marketing blitz that summer on Nickelodeon and Cartoon Network led Master of Disguise to make somewhat of a box office profit, both film critics and young moviegoers were largely united in bafflement at whatever the fuck they just watched, with Carvey never returning to the big screen since outside of a cameo in Happy Madison's other cinematic low point. Yet since I was one of the many disappointed young viewers of this film, let us don our turtle shells and investigate why the Master of Disguise turned out to be a master of none as one of the worst comedies in cinema history. After all, JoBlo viewers, this year will end up being the 25th anniversary of that dark day in September 2001, which forever changed American history. the day that production would begin on The Master of Disguise by filming that god-forsaken Turtle Club scene. It might not have been the worst thing to have happened that month, but for kids of my generation, it was easily just as emotionally scarring.
No, that happened.
Make sure you've got a paper cup for yourself to spew into after you sober up from another turtley round of the awfully good drinking game. Take a shot or drink as we open with some obviously studio-mandated voiceover from Grandpa Disguisey, the eldest of a stupidly named family of secret agents who helped break up smuggling rings in 70s-era Italy, and the youngest of which is a visibly embarrassed and badly de-aged James Brolin as Fabrizio Disguisey, seen here disguising himself in a latex suit as then-popular model-slash-actress Bo Derek in one of this movie's many cameos playing her far younger self, so he could take down wealthy smuggler Devlin Bowman, played out of his golden Dana makeup by Brent Spiner, and then promising afterwards to leave the spy game for good so he can raise his newborn son and keep him out of the family business. After which we fast forward 23 years to America present day, where the older Fabrizio has emigrated alongside his now fully grown man-child of a son.
This is my grandson, Pistachio.
Our supposed hero, Pistachio Disguisey. Yes, Pistachio Disguisey. Played by Dana Carvey with an Italian accent just as cartoonishly stupid as his name.
What an unexpected surprise, love cake.
And looking far too old at age 47 to play this 23-year-old bumbling loser, still living alongside his papa and mama, the latter played by a big-bootied Edie McClurg of Ferris Bueller fame, while waiting tables at their Italian restaurant, where he not only gets bullied by his fellow waiter Rex, played by future Bob's Burgers actor and January 6th participant Jay Johnston, but also dumped by his girlfriend Sophia, who accurately sums up exactly why Dana Carvey never became a movie star after leaving SNL.
The silly voices, the making faces, it was fun for like 1 second, okay?
Only 1 second?
Indeed, Pistachio is being held back by an affliction he has had since childhood, where he's played in flashback by Adam Sandler's Big Daddy twin co-stars Dylan and Cole Sprouse, of impulsively impersonating the voices of other people whenever he gets suddenly triggered.
Am I going too fast
for you?
And after both of his parents are kidnapped by the henchmen of the off-screen Devlin Bowman, with his appropriately named dog the cuteness able to do little else than, well, look adorable, the only person who can help Pistachio in his hour of need is the Exorcist parodying grandfather he has never met before, played here by late-great character actor Harold Gould.
Holy cannoli, you are my sister.
I'm your grandfather.
Who proceeds to give Pistachio some of the many deserved slaps he'll get throughout this movie, and then poses in latex as a stereotypical Hispanic maid to let his grandson in on their ancient family secret that's been hidden up in their attic.
You are
A wizard, Harry.
a disguisey.
As the Disguiseys have used a magical force known as Energico to disguise themselves on the spot as different people or life forms on secret missions throughout the course of history, particularly when they helped Abraham Lincoln win the presidency by having his Disguisey double dancing like a dumbass to the tune of a 90s Euro dance song that wouldn't be composed for another 135 years. Thank God they did not do a segment of Dana recreating his massive head wound Harry sketch in the role of JFK circa November 1963. But don't be fooled by all this whimsical production design that suggests this is going to be a Harry Potter type fantasy, because what it really is a sad demonstration of how badly Dana Carvey's comedic skills have begun to age into the 21st century.
What you talk about get away from you? I'm making waffles.
That's some funny shit, man. You on your way.
And not just because the first of his many character assignments involves slapping on a turban and some good old brown face to disappear into the role of Prince Lally Jamba.
You're Bombay, Calcutta, and New Delhi, India.
Look, I know that white guys playing different races used to be a tradition of sketch comedy, and not necessarily a proud one, but this character is so bafflingly unfunny anyway that the racism is the least worst thing about him. The only joke he's got is charming this snake out of a wicker basket by playing Kenny G's Songbird on a recorder that can somehow sound like a saxophone. Why does this movie refuse to know what wind instruments sound like? Then after Grandpa trains Pistachio to fight a slap-happy wooden dummy while learning one of his many t-shirt-worthy catchphrases,
Who's your daddy? Who's your daddy?
Who is your daddy?
This is what you are doing.
This is what I want you to do.
the two men then hold auditions for a possible assistant and find a perfect fit for Pistachio in the single mother of the little boy who keeps skateboarding outside their restaurant, Jennifer Baker, played by the similarly named Jennifer Esposito of Spin City and The Boys. Here to follow in the Adam Sandler movie female tradition of mostly just uncomfortably laughing at our lead hero's shtick until she's supposed to suddenly declare her love for him.
Gesundheit. God bless you.
Meanwhile, Devlin Bowman is executing his evil plans for the retired secret agent that sent him to jail for the past 20 years by holding his wife hostage in some sort of baked cooking show, while Fabrizio steals from Bowman a series of legendary artifacts from across the globe while disguised as a random series of celebrity cameos. Olympic sprinter Michael Johnson, pop singer Jessica Simpson, and then governor of the great state of Minnesota, Jesse Ventura, proving to his constituents that he could appear in a movie far worse than Batman and Robin and Repossessed combined. All while Brent Spiner gets the only truly funny running joke of the entire film, having his bits of evil laughter getting stopped by a pathetically tiny fart. Enjoy that last sweet breath of comedic air while you still can, folks. Because now that Grandpa has been dispatched out of the movie thanks to the narratively convenient rules in their magic pop-up book, Pistachio and his new assistant can begin their search by tracing some discarded cigars near a garbage can over to the Turtle Club. And yes, folks, that means it is time to talk about the infamous Turtle Club scene, where Pistachio gets into this club posing as the Turtle Guy, a bald-headed hybrid of turtle and man with Coke bottle glasses and a giant turtle shell, who is practically the lead mascot for this movie's ad campaign.
But am I not turtly enough for the Turtle Club?
This is truly one of the most bizarrely fascinating moments in all of bad movie history. Whether it's Jennifer Esposito having to awkwardly speak on Turtle Guy's behalf to the club's patrons while he keeps randomly shouting out the word
Turtle. Turtle. Turtle.
or the awkward and confused reactions he rightfully keeps getting from the club's patrons. Specifically when he gets mocked by this trio of cackling businessmen and then pops his head into his shell only to pop it back out and bite the nose right off one of these dudes. And then spitting it back onto his face like it never left, and then breakdancing on his shell as the scene just sort of ends, never to be mentioned again.
I don't even really know what to say.
And not only was that nose-biting joke an idea from producer Adam Sandler to replace the original scene of Carvey just biting off these guys' cigars and awkwardly spitting them up, but according to one of the funniest bits of IMDb trivia ever, the movie's director tried to make the casting crew feel less weird about filming such a silly movie in the wake of 9/11 blasting all over the news the past 2 weeks, by holding a silent moment of prayer for all the victims, while Dana Carvey was in makeup and costume as that godforsaken turtle guy.
And then they said, we're going to have a group prayer about 9/11.
Right.
I'm dressed as the turtle man with the bald head, and I'm holding hands, and I'm lowering my head and praying. I just thought at the moment, this is really strange.
So now you folks know why this 3-minute scene from a kid's comedy is now spoken of by our generation in the same traumatized tones as discussing the final 30 minutes of Takashi Miike's audition. From there, the rest of this movie is largely just Dana Carvey breaking out the least funny voices and impressions he can think of, but with some decent makeup work from Kevin Yeager of Freddy Krueger fame. First, he tracks down Bowman at an antiques fair disguised as Gammy Num Num, a bewigged elderly lady with an incurable case of horniness and a big backlog of dated 2000s references.
Backstreet Boy, the Malcolm in your middle.
Where is Ernest P. Worrell as Auntie Nelda when you damn well need her? Then he attends Bowman's party with a bunch of South American art dealers, posing again in brownface as Mr. Peru, who's basically just Al Pacino as Tony Montana in Scarface, but with all the embarrassing dance moves and overlong improv routines that Brian De Palma thankfully left out of that movie.
You had a little winner and some donuts. Oh yeah.
You die, motherfucker!
Oh yeah!
And Pistachio flees from Bowman's pursuing henchmen by changing into another hackneyed impression of Robert Shaw as Quint from Steven Spielberg's Jaws.
Shark in the water.
What are you talking about?
That's how you better eat right.
What?
That's how you better eat right.
What is this, a series of skits that Dana filmed for a future hosting gig at the MTV Movie Awards? Then he later rescues Jennifer as she spies in Bowman's mansion by posing as a Bavarian tax officer named Constable Mueller.
Not going to buy.
And then a dashing British police officer from Scotland Yard named Terry Suave.
Get it? Got it? Doubt it.
Who for all you kids know are actually Dana's impressions of future celebrities Benedict Cumberbatch and Eddie Redmayne. And in between all this are the signature trademarks of Adam Sandler's laziest film productions that Dana Carvey said were rewritten into his original script by Happy Madison's creative team. There's the soundtrack of overused pop songs, alongside a bunch of truly terrible theme songs with the film's title in them. Master of Disguise. There are the cameos from some of Sandler's buddies, such as Kevin Nealon and that guy with the weird eyeball from The Waterboy. And of course, there's the unearned love story between our dorky dumbass of a hero and his way out of his league female companion. After her secretly evil boyfriend, Trent, finally faces off against Pistachio in a slap-based bar fight that Pistachio seemingly stole from fellow Italian Terrence Hill. Then after Jennifer gets herself kidnapped off-screen by Bowman and his thugs, our hero calls upon the help of his grandpa's pre-recorded hologram and forms a plan with her young son to break back into Bowman's mansion while disguising himself inside a cherry pie.
Cherry pie man, get him!
In a legitimately disturbing-looking costume that looks like if Todd McFarlane had redesigned Deadpool, but then being found out and unmasked by Bowman just in time to see his beloved Jennifer serving as a showcase girl during this black mark eBay auction as being live streamed on computers all across the globe long before the invention of Twitch, with a pre-SNL Keaton Thompson cameoing as one of the live stream's viewers, as well as being told of the truly evil plan Bowman's got laid out for his unconscious father.
I'm going to crazy glue this to Fabrizio's head. I'm going to push him over a cliff. Everyone will think I'm dead.
Wait, what the fuck kind of plan is that? Isn't Bowman aware of how they were able to identify Ben Tramer after his fiery car crash while wearing a mask in Halloween 2, in which Dana Carvey just so happened to make his feature film debut?
How did you know it was me?
Anyway, Pistachio must now fight his beloved Papa while he's been brainwashed by the dark side of Energico
Exactly like Star Wars?
into thinking that he is Devlin Bowman. But his son instead gets through to him by pulling out the underwear turban he had on his head earlier, and Fabrizio shakes his disguise off his face to remember his true identity as Secret Agent P.W. Herman. But as Grandpa explains in his 1000th voiceover of exposition, the family has one bit of business left over in Costa Rica to retrieve the Constitution from the escaped Devlin Bowman, where Grandpa and Fabrizio pose as his henchmen, while Pistachio is disguised as then President George W. Bush.
King George.
Then impersonated wonderfully at the time on SNL by Will Ferrell, after Carvey famously impersonated his dad H.W. during the 90s. And Carvey doing about as decent an impression as the guy who was on That's My Bush. yet it is about as badly dated as Rudy Giuliani's cameo from Anger Management, and a baffling way to set up the final punchline for our film's funniest running joke.
And this one's for you, Chiefy.
Bowman, he make this stinky.
Hey, wait a minute, folks. I knew that all these Illuminati symbols that served as scene transitions throughout the movie were actually a code to confirm this movie's secret message: that Governor Jesse Ventura and former President George W. Bush secretly worked together to steal the Constitution of Declaration on behalf of Nicolas Cage, the man who co-starred alongside Dana Carvey as his brother in the 90s Christmas comedy Trapped in Paradise.
Connect the dots. Well, there you have it.
Yet even though the film itself ends at a mercifully short 71 minutes, the length is actually stretched out to 80 minutes thanks to all the deleted scenes, unfunny outtakes, and stupid TikTok dances that make up our ending credits. As if Adam Sandler really wanted to punish young audiences for letting 8 Crazy Nights flop even harder at the box office that same year. And having already left the theater with my family at this point, watching it back in 2002, watching this footage at the end nowadays after the rest of the movie does not add either jack or shit. It's just some more dated celebrity impressions of everyone from Tom Hanks in Forrest Gump to Russell Crowe in Gladiator, as well as a fat toy maker guy who wasn't in the movie despite being in all the trailers and posters, and most bafflingly of all, a stinger after the end credits of Pistachio opening up that wooden dummy's chest to discover it's been piloted this entire time by a little person in a Mario costume. And an awkwardly slow Benny Hill chase ensuing between the two out onto the sidewalk outside, followed by another stinger of them waving farewell to whatever traumatized children are still left in the theater. On top of that, the DVD has got 20 minutes of deleted scenes with appropriately weird host segments from the Turtle guy to explain our movie's many gaping plot holes. Specifically Pistachio's dog, the cuteness, turning out to have been Grandpa in disguise this entire time.
No more dog food.
And an insanely baffling alternate ending where Pistachio defeats Bowman dressed instead as a cheap-looking Captain America, over a decade after his only other failed film appearance at the time, and nearly a decade before Chris Evans would begin playing him in the MCU.
What's with the Italian accent?
America is a big pot of melting people.
I think I know what this means, folks. Pistachio Disguisey will indeed return in Avengers Doomsday.
I'm going to be a Capitan America.
While this flick was deservedly the only directorial effort for Adam Sandler's longtime production designer Perry Andolin Blake, Dana Carvey remains active today well into his 70s by recently popping up on SNL and still doing his podcast Fly on the Wall with buddy David Spade, even after the tragic death in 2023 of his eldest son, Dex Carvey, one of his 2 boys who had inspired the creation of this movie in the first place. So knowing that, it's hard to hate the Master of Disguise as much as I used to as a kid. But that doesn't mean there aren't plenty of things that I still do hate about it. From the choppy editing to the nonsensical script and Dana Carvey's aggravating character, or rather characters, being a chore to spend an entire movie with. Yet simply because of how uniquely bizarre it is among Happy Madison's other movies, and how funny Brent Spiner is as the straight man / bad guy, The Master of Disguise is still an experience worth having for bad movie fans, as painful of an experience as it genuinely may be. And besides, who needs Dana Carvey impersonating Al Pacino in a Happy Madison movie when Dana Carvey would later co-star alongside the real Al Pacino in an arguably even worse Happy Madison movie, where the two of them would sadly not duet in that film's now iconic Dunkachino commercial.
What's my name? Dunkachino. Say hello to my
Dinah.
On the enjoyableness continuum scale from Bull to Bruce, The Master of Disguise at least gets credit for not having a single appearance from Rab Schneider and rips off its rubber mask to reveal a 3 out of 10. It's like people only did this movie because they got paid, and that's just really sad. Until next time, this is Jesse Shade on behalf of Awfully Good Movies. And God forbid I'll eventually get around to when the other SNL co-star from Wayne's World put on some racially insensitive makeup himself to give us a career-killing cinematic disaster of his own.
Oh, Jesus God, no.
He's the master of disguise, and you may never recognize the master of disguise, and you may never recognize.
They are in the mansion somewhere.
My tight blue sweater!
Thank you for clicking on our video, everybody. If you like what you saw here, please make sure you like the video and subscribe and share with your friends who like this sort of content. JoBlo was created by movie fans for movie fans, and we appreciate your support.